was cracking? Space Junky, Season 4. Alright, so I'm doing, man, going through it. Okay, so this is going through it. It's not like regular struggles. This is an intentional struggle to conquer the forces of lyricism, singing, memorization, performance, practice, and what is also known as rehearsal. Going through it. All right, so this is what we do. If you want to be an artist, if you really want to take like singing serious, at least halfway, and try to get a pretty good performance, what you're gonna do is you're gonna try. Okay, it's not the most complex action in the world, but just basically just trying. So I don't really, do this that often, but I really like to sing, but I'm just not the best at it. So, I mean, I might end up being like a pretty good, karaoke singer. I mean, I went to the competition or whatever. One of my friends, she ended up actually winning the competition for the best karaoke artist. So man, she was knocking it out of the park. My ex was really good too, and actually, a couple of my exes were actually pretty good singers. But the real issue is if you don't take it serious, then it's not really an issue. But I mean, that's just what it is. So if you sing along with songs and you try, you're gonna get some kind of an effect by memorizing the song, just going through it several times. And so practicing is important, it's foundational, even if it is your music. I've wrote songs and nailed them, knocked them out of the park, my own songs the first time, because I wrote the lyrics. They came from my mind, and the music and whatnot. Sometimes I wrote the musical piece, or composed the music as well. So made, I don't know, composed like 40 or 60 songs or something like this. But I wrote the lyrics to hundreds of songs, and it's not the same as doing songs that other people wrote. To me, it's more difficult to sing someone else's music, to do a karaoke song or to do a cover. It's more difficult because it didn't come from my mind. It's not a native lyric from my mind. Okay, so it's a little bit more difficult. And dang, dude, I was preheating the oven. I could smell something burning now. Anyways, so it's not the most. Dang, man, I gotta do something about this freaking laptop besides the video quality and the other issues. No, but anyways, so it's not the most natural necessarily for a person to sing someone else's songs. But besides that, other people don't know what it is to write music. They're not songwriters, or they're not that maybe experienced with writing songs. They've only put together a few pieces. I started out with poetry. You know what I mean? Just very young, I started writing poems, and so I got into rap and hip hop music, and wrote a bunch of songs. Just wrote songs. Sometimes I would wake up like today, wake up a little earlier, and just felt like doing music. So sometimes I would, once I got, really going with it, I built my capacity. And so sometimes I would write, 5 or 7 verses a day. This was, never having achieved, a huge, success or anything like that, really. And so when someone comes along with a song that's, repetitive and cheesy and stuff, it irks me a little bit. I'm not a hater. So it's great for people to be successful or whatever. But like sometimes there's like really, really, really successful people that aren't really all that great, and then there's a bunch of us like myself that are pretty good. I mean, I'm not that good singing, but my songwriting and my rapping performances are much more outstanding. But as far as singing goes, I still like it. So I'm not doing my own music right now for a specific reason. But basically, doing the songs that aren't yours, you've got to rein in your power. You've got to sing it in the way that you want to, and the only way to do it is to practice it. So you hit play, you bring up the YouTube or cell phone video or the whatever you're gonna freaking do, and you basically just start going through it. You know what I mean? There's no real superfluously magical way to get it down. You just try. You just keep going and trying, and then you've got something for it. So I'm going to practice a song, and then basically then later on I feel a little bit more comfortable with it. But one of the things that I figured out is I can turn the video on, and I might capture a performance that's, awesome when I'm not really actually got the song down. But I kind of think of it just like karaoke, where, I'll go up on stage and perform, sometimes in front of a lot of people, and I don't really even know the song all that good, but I don't let this hinder me. If this was going to hinder me, I mean, I'd rather be a natural, kind of funny, say little things here and there. I don't have to interrupt the performance, but by the time I've got it down, I'm trying to nail every little thing to 100%, at least within 99%, where I make only one mistake in the song. Now, if I can't hit the notes, that's one thing. But if I don't hit them that time, then that's, kind of usual for a person who's not a professional singer, that doesn't do this all the time, and that isn't really, really, really on point. If you watch some of these, The Voice or whatever, some of these people are so freaking outstandingly perfect in their performance that you're like, you can't take it from them. You can't knock them for shit. They might, make one little mistake. So I say that's like 99%, even though the percentage wise is much higher. It's less than 1% that they only made one mistake on an entire performance. Of course, on that show, they might not do the whole song. And then, of course, they may have practiced so much trying to get it down that they strain their voice. Sometimes you just don't hit it. I just don't always hit the notes. I don't always sing it correctly. Other times I'm like, wow. And then sometimes you'll hit the notes when you're just doing a little snippet of a performance, or just singing, by yourself in the shower, walking down the street, whatever. You might hit a note, okay, and then think you're that good. And then later on, during an extended performance, you can't hit that note. Everyone has a threshold, a range, a total possibility, but at that time. But over years and years of practice, you're going to be able to sing more and more songs, hopefully, and you'll get better and better. But what you want to work on is that practice. Practice makes permanent. It doesn't make perfect. So you can practice in the incorrect way or whatever. Go take some singing lessons, do whatever. Some of the things that I haven't done. I've never taken any kind of singing lessons. I just, sing or whatever. But I, to tell you the truth, it's not as interesting to me as some other things. But quite honestly, because of, finances or whatever, working, full-time jobs, that kind of stuff, I don't always have the time to work it. You know what I mean? To work the singing and so forth. So a lot of people will end up getting into music, and then they do this as a job. They figure out how to make the music into a job, and then this frees them up to actually put more time into it, to invest more time in themselves, into their artist development. And so this works for a lot of people. But with your own music, you can see it a little different. Some people can make a career out of covering songs. Okay, so if you watch this, some of the point fives or the episodes, I usually delineate the songs from my show, because it has copywritten lyrics and the music and so forth. There's laws preventing some of this stuff. So that's why I do the point fives after the show. If they're going to sue me or something and I can't do that song, other people heard me sing or whatever, and they're like, okay, cool, the dude's sort of interesting or whatever, even if I'm not the best singer, but I have fun. So a lot of times you see that I'm smiling, I'm having a little bit of fun, because it's entertaining to me. This is what I do. It's not to impress other people. I don't really give a shit. If I was the last person on earth, I'd probably still be singing. Okay? Maybe more, blues or sad songs, maybe. if a bunch of good people were gone, you know. But basically, practice. So getting it down is about not beating yourself up and not holding yourself back, and then put the mirror in front of you, turn the camera on, whatever you're going to do. And sometimes this gives you a little bit of an advantage, because then you could see your performance, okay, and then you could think it's really good, and then maybe watch the video and then be like, oh, well, I'm not as maybe good as I thought. I was, maybe misleading myself or something, So it gives you a little bit of thought to consideration, to consider, as far as the truth of the matter goes, of like how good you are right then. But at the same time, don't let it discourage you, because your process is to figure out how to do this if that's what you're going to do. But remember, you're just, doing something that makes you happy. If you were Michael Jackson and Joe Jackson was beating you to make you sing, okay, I don't know. I don't know that experience, so I can't say that there aren't people like that have, stage mothers and stuff that, put makeup on JonBenet Ramsey, and how that turned out or whatever. So there's scenarios and stuff where people are forced and pushed at a young age and stuff. And then there's people like Tiger Woods, which, they may have been, exposed to, something, but that they were incredibly talented, and it actually started when they were very young. So, love it or hate it, that's one thing. But most people, I think, they get a taste for the scene. But as far as whether or not they'll ever make it big and be stars, this is, not necessarily within our own control. You could be really, really outstanding and never make it. You might not have that look. You might not have that chance. Something happens, whatever. And then other stuff, smoking cigarettes, screws up my voice. I didn't drink enough. Then I'm dehydrated. You know what I'm saying? So, and then there's certain times that you'll do it and sometimes that you won't. But if you're practicing it, you're memorizing it. Now, if you're practicing it, there's a couple different things that you can get out of it. But if you're trying to do a performance that's perfect in your own mind, in your own eyes, that can make you happy, if you're trying to do that, then just practicing is one of the ways that you can possibly do this. Okay, so nothing's set in stone, but if you make a cool performance and you put it on video, you can share it with others, even if it's not a perfect performance. A lot of times I didn't go back and revisit performances and maybe even put it on 0.5s or something, because I was like happy with the recording. And if I was really trying to pursue a career singing that song or trying to make it big doing that, then that's what I would do. But this isn't my intention. I'm interested in making music still. And so, but I really like to actually make my own music. I actually like to write songs. I love it, But as far as singing other people's songs and whatnot, then you can take it in different ways. You can make the truth your own in a specific way, for a song when you're covering it, and change the lyrics to your liking. And then sometimes just kind of BS it, and then like kind of go along with it to get you past that hump of not knowing those lyrics on that. And then another thing is what is your process really? Because you have to find this for yourself. To me, one of the things that I don't like to do, that I don't do, is look at the lyrics on the there's lyric videos on most of the songs, like on say YouTube or some of these platforms. A lot of times they'll take instrumental versions. There's a chance that you can have it with without the artist in the background. I don't mind having the artist on there, because this also a lot of times, because I haven't spent that much time on it, it helps me to sing by ear, because I'm listening to their tone. Whereas other times early on, I can't even sing it unless I hear that artist delivering those notes to remind me on how to go up and down and around those corners on all the singing portions of it. Now, once you've actually got it really down, you're gonna be a little bit better with it. But until you're actually trying to take your performance from A to Z, where you've memorized everything, you've practiced and can nail everything, and your breath control for the whole song, and then go to the next song, go to the next song, go to the next song. Give you an idea. My album, 17 tracks of 16 songs. The last one's an outro. My first album, I can rap. This is more intense than most of all the songs that I've ever sung, like on, Space Junky or whatever. Mostly all of my songs are very intense as far as breath control. Extreme degree of difficulty for my songs sometimes. But for me, I can do it. But I would sing 16. I would rap 16 songs in a row, and then do it again. So for me to rap 32 songs in a row was standard. So this is how much more serious I took my music than I take other people's music. That I sing or rap 32 songs in a row of mine every time I'm practicing. Very often, I'll sing the whole album twice in a row. So not only am I, memorizing exactly how I want to do it, I'm perfecting that kind of standard performance, and then I can deviate from that and then come back to that standard performance because I might have, practiced it 3 or 4 times, maybe once or twice right after writing it. Get right in the booth and record it and be done with it. And then I'm moving on, writing more songs, doing other things. And then it's like, wait a second, that one's a hit. Let's go on tour or something. Man, I gotta revisit the idea of just doing my own songs because I've done so many songs. It's it's kind of one of those things. With other people's music, it's just a little bit different. But if you really think about it, you might 100 or 300 songs when you really think about it, and actually getting under the covers and making love, making it your own, developing your own passion towards that musical piece or that song or whatever, or even spoken word, poetry or whatever. Different people, or comedians and whatnot, actors and actresses, different performers, and professional musicians. They do not hesitate to practice. So if you ever even want to consider it even a possibility, going through it, practicing, rehearsal, is going to be one of the better bets that you have. So like I said, I've wrote songs, sat down and wrote a song in less than 20 minutes, went right into the booth and recorded it right away, and sometimes didn't even too hard really think about it because I didn't use it on an album that I was doing right then. And so it just kind of, stayed in notebooks or stayed on, on some hard drive or something sometimes. Sometimes it ended up getting erased or whatever. But this doesn't break my heart. It's just one song. When you wrote 100 songs or more, this is kind of what you do as a songwriter. So singing other people's songs really, if that's what you do as an artist, then you're going to have to practice. So rehearsal is very important. And it doesn't matter how professional you are, how awesome that you are. Sometimes you're going to have bad days. Sometimes you're going to be in development mode. This is standard. Everybody knows. You know what I mean? So it's been fun. Going through it with you is a Space Junky. Peace!